All right, my name is Kelsey Hardy. All right, people with mental illness are one of the most stigmatized and discriminated against members of our society. 1 in 5 Americans are living with mental illness. Research shows that false assumptions and negative connotations are just as harmful as the disease itself. Schizophrenia evokes visions of violence and the inability to care for oneself, when the vast majority are nonviolent and pose no threat to others. Depression conjures up thoughts of laziness and substance abuse. These negative and false assumptions are fueled by the media. We may have watched them on TV, seen them in a movie, or heard them on the radio. Images and entertainment media overtly influence public perception. Films are artfully designed to engage and stir the audience and elicit emotional reactions. These can be so powerful that the negative attitudes they impart override and outlast exposure to positive movie portrayals, corrective information, and personal experiences. There are certain stereotypes that the media has perpetrated, and they are a myth. The first are that mentally ill are violent. Studies show that 61% of Americans believe that people with schizophrenia have violent tendencies. The media helps this view by linking violent events and characters with madness, when in real life, they're more likely to be victims of violent crimes than perpetrators. That they are beyond help. When a criminal or a violent person is mentally ill, their illness is over-dramatized. If a successful person is mentally ill, it's downplayed. The result is that successful people are not very visible in news, TV, movies, or even in video games. And in real life, they avoid seeking help to protect their careers. The movie Shutter Island perpetrates this myth. The third myth is that all people who have mental ill are savants or geniuses. And if a movie does show a successful person, they are only shown if they are savants. This is Hollywood romanticizing mental illness. The movie A Beautiful Mind is a good example of this. It's the bio of mathematician John Nash, and it's Hollywood romanticizing his gift with numbers, and it shows an inaccurate portrayal of schizophrenia symptoms and other details for dramatic effect. The fourth myth is that they don't get better. If an illness is portrayed in a positive light, we rarely see any progress. This leads people to believe that treatment is ineffective. A good example of this is the TV show Monk. The lead character has OCD, and we regularly see him attend therapy, yet we never see him improve. There are several different character stereotypes that use cinematic value as a plot device for its comedic potential and for dynamic characters it can construct. The first one is the rebellious free spirit. It's illustrated by eccentric characters whose unusual behaviors are mistaken for insanity. They are usually wrongly incarcerated and released once their mental health has been verified. This emphasizes incompetency and the imposing agenda of mental health professionals. It shows that likable characters cannot be mentally ill, they're just merely misunderstood. The second is the homicidal maniac, which is the most common and the most destructive. This relates mental health with violence and dangerousness. It's most common among popular horror films. These characters are ruthless and unfeeling, described as evil or the embodiment of the devil. They prove completely resistant to treatment, always reverting back to their homicidal tendencies. The media shows these characters as being frequently diagnosed with schizophrenia, but have split personalities like Jekyll and Hyde, which perpetrates the inaccurate association between schizophrenia and multiple personalities. The third type is the female seductress, who is similarly evil to the homicidal maniac. Her nymphomaniac, manipulative behaviors, and inappropriate attempts to seduce her male therapist usually ends up destroying the lives of the men she pursues. This discredits female patients as nothing more than temptress who have no problems other than their obsessive desire for their male therapist. Also suggests that women bring their problems upon themselves and often deserve punishment rather than help. The fourth is the narcissistic, who shares its selfish nature with the female seductress. They're usually depicted as outpatients who seek psychotherapy, as self-obsessed, overprivileged attention seekers who have nothing else to do but spend time and money complaining about trivial issues to anyone who will listen. Like the female seductress, doesn't have any diagnosable disorder or significant problems, and this helps stigmatize the large percent of people who do seek outside help as whiners and weaklings. There are two additional stereotypes: the simpleton, who is characterized by silly, irrational behavior, and the failure, who is irreparably incompetent and for her treatment or hope for recovery are pointless. Adult programs are not the only programs that shed mental illness in a negative light. A research study done by a professor at the University of Harvard also shows that kids shows use slang language such as crazy, nuts, or mad. And these characters are usually depicted as aggressive and threatening, and others characters usually fear and avoid them. A good example is Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, where he attempts to prove Belle's father crazy and should be locked up. In conclusion, you can see that the perception the media has perpetrated is that mentally ill people are violent, won't get better, or even that they are beyond help. People who are mentally ill are discriminated against because the media decided to use their illness as comic relief or even just to add a bit of dramatic effect. As a society, we have to step up and remember to not believe everything the media has to say.